Welcome to O-Line Security, a training academy helping you break into IT.
See, I see Regina in the backstage. She has to connect her mic though. Yo, 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 what up, what up, what up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Thursday. I know it's been a while since we've had Cyber Thursday. What's up, Radoka?
Shoutout, what's up, everybody?
Nothing much, man. I know it's been a while since we had a Cyber Thursday, a live one actually. Most of them have not been live. We've been doing it offline and making it intimate with the class, but they wrapped up last week. So we decided to go live today and help a few people out. I know Regina. Oh, cool. Regina's squared away now. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you all have any questions, any comments, if you need help with anything, just go ahead and drop it in the chat. We'll do our best to try to answer it as we're going through with everything. Regina, what's up? How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Toby?
Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. So you've been getting a lot of work in.
I figured out my dilemma, but I still didn't understand why I would save my private key to my hard drive and I could just use the key name or use the connect. So I just couldn't figure out why I would do all those extra steps where in your video you made it so much more simple and easier to follow.
That's a good question. So here, let's break it down and let's catch everybody up to speed as to what's going on here. And Udoka, let me know if you have anything that you want to talk about. Just send it to me on Discord so I make sure that we square you away too. So what Regina is doing, you all. So she's playing around with AWS. If you're not familiar with what AWS is, it is a cloud service provider. Right? We use AWS as our cloud service provider of choice. Right? It's widely known, widely used in many production environments across the country, well across the world, really. So what she was doing was creating some virtual machines, creating her own EC2 instances, and she had a question about the key, right? And in regards to why you would save your keys locally and how AWS uses the keys to connect to the EC2 instance. So there's several ways you can connect to your EC2. If you're not familiar with what EC2 is, y'all, that's just a cool name for virtual machine in the cloud. So the video that you're talking about, Regina, was to make it easier for people to connect to their server. Right? There's several ways to connect to your server. The video that I created with the EC2 Connect, I personally don't use that way to connect to my servers. It just personally, right, on my own time or even in a production environment, I don't use that way normally. What I typically do is save my key to my local system or whatever system that I'm using, and I'll connect to it a using the terminal or some type of command line tool that's going to give me remote access. So let's go through it. So we're going to create a virtual machine, right? I'm already logged into my AWS account, and for you all that are not familiar with this, I'll post some links to some videos that's explaining what we're doing. I'll even post a link to the video that Regina is referring to. What we're going to be doing is just creating a virtual machine and then showing you how AWS manages the keys, how it's using your keys, whether it's locally or through EC2 Connect, which is a pretty simple and straightforward way to connect to your machines. And if you, some of you, I think Regina, you're signed up for the workshop for the Linux admin workshop starting in June. If you are registered for any of our workshops, this is going to be a really, really, really good tutorial for you because every single workshop that we have is going to be based out of the cloud. Right? Let me actually pull that up. Give me 1 second, y'all.
Yes, I am signed up for the workshop and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I can't wait. I've asked Telvin. I've been waiting for a while. I cannot wait for these workshops. I get the nerd out, really nerd out. Here we go. Let me so just go to the website. We have a bunch of workshops. The workshops that are running for June are going to be these three: the Linux Admin Workshop, the Splunk Fundamentals Workshop, and the Splunk Admin Workshop. We have plenty of more. Right? They're going to be executed on a monthly basis, so we get an opportunity to refresh them, keep them up to date, make sure we're talking about the latest tools, the latest technologies, the latest concepts, and that they're relevant to what employers require and to what employers need. So all of these workshops are going to be based off of production environments, production related tasks, production related command line tools, production related skills. So, with that being said, you're going to need an AWS account. We use AWS as our cloud service provider. So, every single one of these workshops are going to be ran out of the cloud. Everything that you're going to be doing is going to be based out of your own personal cloud environment. So, if you don't know how to set it up, we have a video that's already out there. I'll post a link to it to for you to set this up, to set up your own AWS account. It's pretty simple, straightforward. You just go to aws.amazon.com, type in your name, your address, and all that good stuff. You create an account, and you're good to log in. You'll see something like this. Well, you'll probably come over here to this homepage, right? Now, every single one of these workshops is going to be based out of the cloud. The Linux Admin Workshop is going to be based out of the cloud. Bash scripting, Splunk Architect, Splunk Developer, all of them are going to be based out of the cloud. All right. Now, in order to connect to it, first we got to create our machine. So let's create that first. I'm going to hit this launch instance, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly so I can get exactly to where the confusion is for you. Joel just messaged me 1 second. I think they're having a hard time connecting in. All right. So I'm just going to call this Cyber Thursday. It doesn't matter what you name the machine. You can give whatever cool name you want to. And I'm going to choose this AMI. The AMI is essentially the operating system that you're going to be using, right? You can use Mac OS, Ubuntu, Windows. I think we're using Ubuntu actually. Let me move this out my way. All right, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to stick to this one since it's free. And yeah, confirm changes. I don't want to get charged too much right now. I'm pretty frugal. All right, I'm just going to go to here, the keys. Now, in the message that I sent to you, Regina, I said that if you create keys per machine, so every time you create a machine, if you're creating new keys for each machine that you're creating, you're eventually going to have so many keys that you might forget which keys for which machine if you're not naming it or giving it a certain naming convention, right? It gets hard to manage. You lose track of the keys. You don't know which one is for which machine is using which keys. So sometimes it might be best to have a generic key, right? So let's say you're creating web servers. You might have a key for your web servers. Let's say you have a production environment, then you have a key for all production servers, or you have a key for development or non-production environments, then you have that key for those servers, right? I personally don't like to get into the habit of just creating keys over and over and over and over and over and over for each machine. In production environments, it might be best to have a key per user instead of a key per machine. So Regina would have a key, Udoka would have a key, Telvin would have a key, I would have a key, instead of machine by machine, because you could have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of machines in the cloud. So you want to be careful with how you're creating them. Now I'm going to create one, call it Cyber Thursday. Doesn't matter what I name it. Well, in a production environment, it does matter what you name it. You want to remember the keys that you're using, and you try to want to give it a name for the purpose of the key. right? For the purpose, the environment. So let's say if this is non-prod, I'll do non-prod, and we'll say database. We'll say non-prod DB for database Regina, right? So we know exactly what this key is for. We know this key is going to be for non-production. We know it's going to be for database, and it's Regina's key. So I'm creating a key for Regina to log into a database that's in our non-prod environment. So I'm going to create this key. When you create it, this gets saved locally. All right. The key is going to be saved locally to my machine so that I can use it locally, right? There's several ways you can use this key. You can use it locally on your laptop using the command prompt, or if you're on a MacBook, you can open up your terminal and then use the key, or if you're on Windows, you can use the command prompt, or you can use PuTTY to use the key, or you could use EC2 Connect, which we'll see in a second. I don't think I need to change anything over here. I'm just going to use, I'll create a security group. That's fine. I'll delete it later. And we'll leave the default settings. So let's launch this. Now I'm going to come back over to EC2. I'm going to come over to these keys over here. And you'll see that here's the key, non-prod DB Regina. This is also saved on my system. So if I wanted to, that's the key right here. Let's go back. Let me make sure I got it. Boom, that's it right there. All right. So let's come over here. The instance is ready. Cool. We're still initializing. Well, let's just give it a shot. So I'm going to connect to it one way. I'm going to connect to it the way that was in that video. If I use this connect button, I don't have to tell AWS which key to use to log into this box, into this Cyber Thursday box that we created. AWS already knows. It knows the key to use to log into this server. It already knows because we used AWS to create the key. So that's why this is pretty straightforward. We don't have to do anything, right? We just have to make sure that we're giving it the correct user when you're logging into an AWS, the AMI that we picked, right? That operating system that we picked, you have to use the EC2 user. That's all, right? I don't have to tell it, hey, use X, Y, and Z key, the key that we created to log into it, because it just knows. It knows this because it created the key for it created that key for this machine. So I'm going to hit connect, and this should automatically connect me in, right? And I'm in. Who am I? I'm the EC2 user. I'm the EC2 user that we use to log in, right? And it's that simple. If I want to connect to it a different way, let me switch screens. Now, if I want to connect to it using my command prompt, now I have to give it the key. Now I have to tell it which key to use, because my local system does not automatically know which key to use. My local system has no idea about what keys are in the cloud. The AWS console, it knows, right? It knows what keys to use because that's where we created it. I'm so used to Linux. Let me use there. So here you can see the key, right? Right now I'm in my downloads folder under a folder called delete. This is the key that we created. This is saved locally. If I got into the habit of just creating key after key after key after key after key for each machine I created, I would have so many keys here. I wouldn't know which key to use to log into this machine that we're going to log into unless I gave it a pretty cool naming convention that made it easier to identify. Right. So let me go and grab the public IP. All right. Now watch this. If I try to SSH EC2-user. For those that are not familiar with what I'm about to do, here, let me, how do I zoom in on this guy? Hopefully this is big enough. I don't know how to zoom in on this. We'll just keep it going. Hopefully you all can see pretty well. So if I tried to SSH, so with SSH command, if you're doing it from the terminal, if you're on a MacBook or some type of Linux operating system, right now I'm in a command prompt Windows. If I try to SSH, I need to give the SSH command, right? And then I need to give the user that I'm trying to use to log into that machine, right? This is the user that I need to use to log into that machine, as we did with the EC2 Connect. And then here's the IP address. If I try to log into this with SSH, it's going to fail, right? Just hit yes. This is just logging the fingerprint of the machine that we're logging into. For those that don't know what this is an integrity check here, right? So every time we try to log into that machine, SSH is going to make sure that the machine has this fingerprint. If it doesn't match this fingerprint, let's say we try to log into it again and it's a completely different fingerprint, well, it can't be the same machine that we just tried to SSH into because the fingerprint changed, right? This is to help prevent man-in-the-middle attacks. So this fails. Why does this fail? Because one, it's trying to use the wrong key. It's trying to use a key in a different location. It's not trying to use the key that we created. Remember, the key we created is this guy. When we logged in with the EC2 Connect, Regina, you didn't need to tell it which key. It knew which key to use. On my local system, it doesn't know which key to use. So by default, it's trying to use the default key in another directory. It's not going to work to log into that machine. That's why you can't log into this machine. Even though this is the public IP address, no one in the world can log into this machine right now if they don't have SSH keys to log into it. Only I have the SSH keys to log into it right now. Now, before I show you how to do it the right way, I want to talk about something else that just popped up here. So it's complaining about, well, one, it's the wrong key, right? This is the key that it's trying to load. This is the key that it's trying to use. It's trying to use the key under the .ssh folder called ID_RSA. That's the wrong key. Another thing, SSH says, hey, this key that you're trying to use, this private key, has bad permissions. In other words, it's telling you that the permissions are not strict enough. Right? The permissions, maybe everyone can read the key, maybe everyone can write to this key file. SSH doesn't like that. So what I'm going to do, right? It's the wrong key though, but we're going to use the right key. I'm going to clear my screen. Add you back to stage. So I'm going to use my screen. So to use the right key, we have to do -I and give it the name of the key. So -I is where our key is, right? The -I, you're telling SSH, hey, this is the private key I want to use. And now I can log into the box, right? Because now I'm saying, hey, SSH, use this key that's on our local system to log into this server as this user. Now to really answer your question, the reason you're downloading this key is so that you can remote into it using your local laptop, using the laptop that's physically in front of you. In a production environment, I'm going to come back over here. In a production environment, you're not going to have access to this. You're not going to have access to this console right here, unless you're part of the infrastructure team. But if you're just the SOC analyst, if you're an IT analyst, if you're let's say a database engineer or some type of non-infrastructure position, you're not going to have access to this console to use this Connect. Right? Only people who have access to this console will be able to use this Connect. That's why you want to get familiar with downloading your private key and SSHing into that system using your private key locally, because you won't have access to this console in a real production environment, right? It's not secure to give everyone access to the console, because if everybody, let's say you have access to it, Telvin has access to it, you all can start creating machines in here, and you may not create the machines with the most secure permissions. Your machines may be accessible by everyone in the world, right? Which is a vulnerability. So everyone is not going, and you might accidentally delete machines that shouldn't be deleted. So everyone isn't going to have access to this console, but because we do have access to it, it's sometimes, I mean, it is easier. I'm not gonna say sometimes. I just don't use it, but it is easier to use this feature to connect into the machines. The EC2 Instance Connect feature right here. It's 10 times easier to just hit this button and it's gonna SSH you into it. However, the reason you want to download those keys is so you can access this server or any other server you're authorized to access. You can access it. Does that make sense, Regina?
Yes, but when I was doing it, it didn't take me to the command line. It just said success, and then I was able to finish what I was trying to do. But
It didn't take you to what success? What do you mean it didn't take you
yeah,
to
it
the
didn't take me to this command line. It just
right
said,
here?
mm-hmm,
When you click connect right here,
mm-hmm,
it just said success.
yes.
Are you logged into your console right now?
No, I was just trying to follow along on this assignment, and I had created a group, developers, and I created a user, and I was trying to have that user execute EC2 instance. And
Execute EC2 instance. I'm confused. You got to show me what you're talking about. You created a group where? On the command line or in your console?
in my groups,
Yeah, where though? Like in this console or on your terminal, right? Because you can create groups here within the console. You can create groups locally on your terminal. Where'd you create the group? And if you don't remember, that's fine, right? But yeah, I think you might be talking about something else, right? Because if you hit connect here, you're gonna see this, right? That you're not
oh,
gonna miss. There's no way you're not gonna see this.
oh,
If
okay.
you created a user and it says success, that kind of makes sense. But I'd have to see where you created the user, where you created that group. But if you have a second, we can log into the console and show me, and we can walk through it.
No, that's okay. I don't want to take up much of your time,
All right.
but yeah, you explained it to me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Udoka, what's up, man? How's studying coming along? His mic he has to reconnect. Let me see. How'd you like the are you still using the incident response course, Regina?
Excuse me?
Are you still using that incident response course?
Yes.
Okay. How's that coming along?
Good. hmm I'm learning, it just takes me a little while to kind of maneuver around, but I found that I'm learning, Sometimes it just takes me a little bit longer, but I'm learning.
No, that makes absolute sense. Some of these things you can't one and done it. Well, everything. You can't one and done anything. You have to do it over and over and over and over again so that one, it becomes muscle memory, but also you understand why you're doing what you're doing. Remember, that's the most important thing when you're going through anything. It doesn't matter if it's a Udemy course, a so a YouTube video you saw, one of our on-demand courses, or even our live workshops. You have to truly understand why you're executing the commands that you're executing, why you're navigating to certain areas. It's all about the why. Why am I doing this?
That's exactly it for me because I'm very logical. And
Yeah.
if I understand the why, then I will remember the next time.
Yep. Yep. And take notes on it too. Take notes on it. I'm really big on notes. I have endless notebooks here on my bookshelf on everything that I'm doing, right? And then my notes eventually get transferred into a repo like GitHub that I can access from anywhere.
Yeah, sorry, Toby. I was trying to like unmute and then the drink just went out.
Now you're good, man. What's going on? What's up?
Yeah, yeah. The studying isn't cool. You know, I just want to make sure that I don't uh I want to make sure I'm really prepared before I take the exam because I'm not really a good test taker and I get anxiety just thinking about it. So
You're not a good test taker. I'm not a good test taker. I don't like taking exams. I despise it. The only reason I have the certifications that I do have is because they were required by certain projects that I was supporting. But you'll
right,
do fine, man. You were doing good with the flexi, so I think you'll do fine.
yeah, I found that I was actually surprised too by that.
Yeah, you were doing really good, man.
Yeah.
How'd you like the class?
Nah, the class was awesome. The class was very awesome. I felt like you had a good composed method of teaching. You know, you didn't make anybody feel uh stupid at all. I never felt stupid in the class, even though, you know, this was like a whole new genre feel to me. You know, you was very thorough, patient, understanding, articulate, and yeah,
Appreciate that, man. You
yeah.
make me sound good.
Yeah, and the Discord is very helpful. I'm grateful that I can still like utilize it post the class because I all everything that you've taught and we've gone over. I usually like need to go over it on my own with a lot of
Yeah.
hours so I can really like uh become so I can really like learn it.
You sound just like me. You sound exactly like me. The first time I hear something, I it's that's good and all. It might even make a lot of sense when I hear it the first time, but I need to go back on my own time and break it down in a way that my brain understands it.
Absolutely, like yeah. Yeah, that's how I pretty much got to grad school because I didn't even think I was gonna go to grad school because my grades wasn't good enough to maintain 3.0. But I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to the classes and I'm gonna learn as much as I can in the class, but then I'm gonna
Yeah,
do all the extra studying like over the weekend. You know, when nobody's looking. You know, when everybody else is having fun. That's how I was able to pass grad school. It wasn't in the class. It was after hours.
right.
So
Now that makes sense. And you're always gonna have access to Discord, man. I think our Discord community is a gem. There's so many resources in there that you really need to take your time to go through. And it's not something we want to rush. And just like the hands-on exercises, Discord can't be one and done, right? You really got to go through the channels over and over and over again to make sure that you understand the information that's there. And you're always going to have access to us. God willing, you'll always have access to me, right? Whatever questions you have, don't hold them back. It doesn't, I say it all the time, man. And I got to keep saying it doesn't matter if you think you should know the answer. It doesn't matter if someone asked it already. Just ask it, bro. Just ask the question, please.
good to know. Good to know. So, so as far as the CompTIA exam, so I know I already have the account with the CompTIA. So like when I'm going to uh get ready to take the test, I just go use the same method, and it's the same price as anybody, right? That's going to take the exam.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be paying for anything, man. You
Oh,
use your voucher.
all right,
You use your
that's what I wanted to figure out. It's free, right? All right, cool. That's what I needed to make sure.
Yeah, man. See, hey, Udoka got money, Telvin. He got money.
And I'm looking, trying to get more. Shoot.
He got money, man. This man's gonna pay for an exam. Don't pay for it, all right? Use your voucher. There's a you so I mean it's pretty simple. It's the same thing, the same process you just mentioned, the login.comptia.org. You're gonna go over there. There's a button to register for the exam. Just in case if you're like me, a visual learner, there's a video that was in your email during that last week of class that will show you step by step how to register for that exam.
Okay. Okay. And how long is the voucher valid?
For a year. You have it for 12 months.
All right, bet. All right, cool.
Well,
Cause
I
I'm
wouldn't use all 12 months though. I wouldn't wait the entire 12 months, man. Don't wait the entire 12 months. I personally recommend that people do it within, you know, uh, within a month, right? But life happens. We've had people who got into
okay.
pretty serious situations, car accidents, losing family members. Things happen, right? So you have access to that voucher for a year.
Okay, cool. I mean, I'm gonna definitely take it before the year is over. I know that. I'll aim for before the summer is over. Then.
All right.
Yeah.
Stay in the flexi. The flashcards are key. Remember what we said about the flex? We want at least consistently 80%, not just an 80% of getting things right, but understanding why we got the options right and why the other options are wrong. After we do that, we shift gears into that flashcards, right? There are over 600 of them. Make sure you understand all those topics. If you have a question about anything, just reach out, man.
Gotcha. I appreciate your support, man. For real.
Of course, of course, of course, of course. Let me see. Any other questions, y'all? Well, before that, man, I just want to give a big shout out to my guy Telvin, man. Telvin is like, he's Jordan, I'm Pippen, bro. Telvin is Jordan, and I'm Pippen, man. I gotta take the back seat.
Nah, man, you Jordan. Everybody know that.
Nah, not in a million years, bro. Like this website that Telvin put together, it's just beautiful, man. This is his work. Like it's beautiful, man. I really do appreciate the time and effort that you put into this. It's just dope. It's dope. I
Well,
like how
appreciate
you
it,
put
man.
the workshops here. I think it's pretty cool how I can just click on the different buttons and I mean, this alone is really like exciting right here. I can click on the
Appreciate
different
it.
buttons and I can see the different details for each workshop. Like this is amazing, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem, man. And I saw those classes. They go quick, don't they?
Yeah,
Like
hey,
it's like one
the
spot
Linux,
left.
yeah, the Linux admin is already. It's only one spot left in the Linux admin workshop. This, what else do we have for this month? It's the Splunk fundamentals and the Splunk admin. So there are a few seats left for Splunk fundamentals and Splunk admin, but Linux admin that'll probably be booked up today. But these workshops are dope, y'all. My favorite one is going to be the Splunk architect workshop. And this is definitely. Oh, I'm not even sharing my screen. Hold on, y'all. My bad. Hold on. Yeah, but I was talking about just the way I can click on these different buttons to see the different workshops is pretty dope, man. Thank you. But this right here is my favorite workshop. The Splunk Architect is my all-time favorite one because I get to use so many different tools. I get to use Terraform. You all are going to use Terraform. You all are going to use Ansible. If you're familiar with Splunk, most organizations have a cluster Splunk environment, right? They're going to have a clustered search head cluster, a clustered indexer cluster. I keep saying clustered indexer cluster, but they're going to have an indexer cluster. They're going to have a search head cluster. The search head cluster is going to be managed by the deployer. The indexer clusters are going to be managed by the cluster manager. We're going to have a deployment server that's going to be managing our clients and the client configs. I mean, we're gonna get the nerd all the way out in the Splunk Architect workshop, y'all. All the way out. And we're gonna build our environment out with Terraform. We'll understand the code that it's using to build the environment out. We're gonna use Ansible to provision and connect our indexers together to connect the cluster manager into the indexers and the deployer into the other guys. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But with that being said, though, oh, what's up, Treasure? I don't think we actually met, but Nice to meet you. Finally, nice to meet you. How's the Splunk? I think you're doing the on-demand Splunk fundamentals program. How's that going? Hey, oh, you're in the chat. I forgot about this feature.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Nice to meet
Oh,
you.
hi, nice to meet you finally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing the Splunk fundamentals right now.
How are you liking that one?
Oh, it's good. I actually took a Splunk class last year, but I didn't really follow up on it, so I'm just refreshing my memory again. I plan on doing I might do I'm not sure yet.
Yeah. So send me a message on Discord.
Mhm.
You're doing the on-demand one right now. Send me a
Right.
message on Discord, and we'll hook you up with this one, the live one. Right.
Okay,
So
sure.
you won't have to pay twice for that one. So I
All right.
think you're like the live one 10 times more than the on-demand one because it's going to be live in class, right?
Okay, yeah. I think that might be perfect.
And just take a look at the schedule, make sure it lines up with your schedule. If
Right.
this one doesn't line up, they're going to be run monthly. Right?
Okay.
Next month, I don't know if there's a fundamentals for next month, but if this doesn't line up June 9th, just let me know, and then we can
I think
steer
I'm
your way with another one.
actually I think I'm actually like ready to move on to the admin
Okay.
workshop. So I might just go ahead and do that.
All right. Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
that's awesome. The Splunk ones are my favorite, not just because I'm a Splunk consultant, but Splunk is just like that's my baby. That's one of my favorite tools. So that's good. That's good. Let me know if you're having any issues with the on-demand course. If you have any questions, if you need any help, don't hesitate to reach out. It doesn't matter if you think you should know it. Just let me know.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Of course, of course, of course. So what I wanted to say, you all, is even though this is my favorite, please, please, please don't just jump directly into the Splunk Architect course. Right? There is a workflow or a track, a career track, or a workshop track that you want to follow. We'll update that on the website. Everyone should always start with the Linux admin workshop. Right? Don't jump into the Splunk Architect. Don't just jump into the bash scripting unless you already have Linux experience. Don't just jump into the Ansible or the Python or any of the courses unless it's Splunk fundamentals. But I highly, highly recommend that you start with the Linux admin because Linux is the foundation for all of these workshops. Linux is pretty much the foundation for a lot of things that we do in a production environment. Right. So please, if you are interested in the Splunk Architect, which I mean, if anybody's doing Splunk, you want to take this one, right? Because it's going to turn you into a DevOps engineer at the same time as a Splunk engineer and architect. But you want to start with Linux admin, go to the Splunk fundamentals, do the Splunk admin. And I mean, if you don't want to do the engineer and developer, then we can go into the Splunk architect. But I highly recommend you do Linux admin, Splunk fundamentals, then Splunk admin, then Splunk SPL, then developer, then engineer. Do the architect last. All right, I highly, highly recommend that you do this one last because everything else that we're doing within the other Splunk workshops are just going to build. We're going to build upon that within the Splunk architect workshop. But all right, y'all. Any questions that I can help y'all out with before I go and stuff my face with some food?
Good.
Yeah, I trust you, Doug. I know you're gonna ask your questions, man. All right, let's go ahead and sign out. Regina, thank you. Treasure, thank you. Telvin, thank you so much, man. This website is beautiful. It's amazing. I really do appreciate it.
Thank
Oh, no
you.
problem, man. Keep up the
Thank
good
you.
work.
Have a good night.
All right, have a
Good
good night,
night, guys.
everybody.
Good night.